One thing you'll know about lead generation is that it's something that you have to have a pulse on because it's always changing. 4 months goes by. I end up getting a virtual assistant to generate me leads. Find her on Facebook. She was great. At this point, I had no idea what a virtual assistant was. I'm like, I've heard of them on YouTube before. I've heard that, people are doing it, but how the heck is somebody going to be able to generate me leads from thousands of miles away that don't even really know how to speak our language? And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I've done everything up to this point. Let's just try it. So I get on a call with some random virtual assistant agency, and they set me up with an appointment for an interview with this VA. Her name is Karen. She's still with me today. So Karen hops on a Zoom with me, and I'm interviewing her, and she's really, really good. Like she spoke really good English. You could tell that she was a very smart girl. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I might as well bank on Karen. So I end up just hiring Karen. Don't even know what I'm doing at this point. I don't even know what systems to use or anything like that. Karen comes in my business and she's like, Mike, I've been doing lead generation for wholesalers for the past 2 years. Here are all the systems that my previous clients have used. And she's like, we use Mojo for the dialer, we use Podio for the CRM, and all these different things. So I go and I just look up all the different systems, and I go and I implement them. And I give her the logins and the passwords, and I'm like, here, do your thing. You've done this before. Help me build this business. And she is the one that literally helped me build this business. She's like the heartbeat in our business right now. Our business, she went away on vacation like, I think 2 weeks ago, and our business pretty much just like stopped. So she is like the heartbeat, and now she's out growing a VA community of her own on her off time while she's not working. So it's pretty cool. But essentially what she did is she helped me build the systems and processes for our lead generation business. So she starts generating me leads consistently. She's like, okay, Mike, a couple things that we need. Okay, so we're gonna call this cold calling and text. She's like, first things first, we're gonna need some data. I'm like, okay, where do I go for that? She's like, well, I've heard of this company called PropStream. So now to this day, we still use PropStream to get the data. So this data is data where we pull somebody like a pre-foreclosure list or a divorce list or a vacant list or a tired landlord. So the data that you want to go get is something that is driven towards motivation, like somebody that would want to be motivated to sell their property. This is something that needs to stay fresh. Like, you got to keep getting new data, because you'll see as I explain everything, our virtual assistants, we now have 3 of them on our team. They rifle through the data. So we got to keep data in the system at all times. But pretty much what you do is you go to this thing called PropStream and you pull people that are potentially interested in selling their property for some sort of reason, because it's all county records. So when you go back and you look, you'll be able to see when somebody's about to go in foreclosure, or when somebody just had a divorce, or when somebody just died. That's literally public information. PropStream helps you with that. So
how often are you pulling that?
That it kind of depends on the months, but pretty much what we do is we'll have a pulse. We'll have meetings on KPIs and lead generation. So Zai on my team, and I'll get into like what my team looks like, but Zai is the one that runs the lead gen department. So I go to Zai every single week and I say, hey Zai, what do the KPIs look like? Let's see what we're doing for numbers as far as leads go. How many times are we connecting with people? And we pretty much just pull back the curtains on what's going on. And then the next week, we just go take action. One thing you'll know about lead generation is that it's something that you have to have a pulse on, because it's always changing, right? Like sometimes cold calling crushes it, sometimes texting crushes it, sometimes a certain market is doing really well. It really just all depends. So that's why it's something that you always just have to have a pulse on. So it's not like you just have a virtual assistant, call a list, and then you just get her a new list every single month or something like that and turn a blind eye, right? You have to actually be analyzing it and making sure that like, oh, okay, for some reason this week, this list is crushing it. Let's triple down on this. Or for some reason, when we say this script, it works really well this week. Let's triple down on that. Or for some reason, when we're doing this text template, it's crushing it. Let's triple down on that. You see what I mean? So it's something that you always want to be analyzing. But you want to have somebody on your team that is analyzing it. And in the beginning, that was me. So when you're just starting out and you have a small team or you just have one virtual assistant, it's you doing all these things. So for example, when I was just starting out, the first thing I would do in the morning is I would analyze all that. I'd be analyzing exactly what my data was looking like, how many leads we generated the previous day. I'd be analyzing all that stuff. I'd be pulling new data. I'd be doing all the back end stuff, which we call the integration. I then scale myself out of that, got a partner later on, and we'll talk about that too. So she's like, hey, Mike, you got to go get some data. You got to go get a CRM so we can keep track of all of our leads. This is pretty much, I call this the lead hangout. Okay, so our CRM, the one we use right now is Ari Simply. Don't be like so caught up on all the different actual softwares like PropStream and Ari Simply and Podio, and they all work. They all do the same stuff. Just use one and stick with it. So she's like, we need a CRM, we need a dialer, we need a text platform. And Mike, that's pretty much all we need. Like once you have that stuff, there's another couple things. We have Slack. So we need to communicate. We use Slack for that. That's how like Brendan will be in a meeting. So my team, right? My team has a virtual office. So instead of being in an office setting like this, which I wish that we could do, but just with being virtual, it's just easier to manage. It's easier to take care of overhead and stuff like that. Plus, nobody from the Philippines is coming here every single day into the office. So we have a virtual office and we'll be on Zoom all day. Like I'm literally sitting there. I'll pop in there for maybe a quarter of the day, half of the day. And when somebody has a question, they can just text me on Slack. Like Brendan can say, hey, Mike, I have a question. Can we talk about a lead? Or my acquisition manager, Felipe, can say, hey, bro, I have one on the hook. Can we go hop in a breakout room? And we can chat like that. So that's what's really cool. We try to make it the office setting as much as possible. Okay, because that's what really builds the culture. So you'll see, Brendan, the days where nobody's in the VO or something like that, doesn't it seem like kind of a low day? But then when everybody's in there, like yesterday was a day where everybody was in there, everybody's cameras off, everybody's smiling, people are joking, I'm hopping in there, doing the thing. That you're creating a culture, right? That's the goal. So that's why it's important when you hire your first virtual assistant, it's not just a set it and forget it thing. Here's where people go wrong. People will hire the virtual assistant and they'll say, okay, here's a list, go ahead, go call it. I'll talk to you on Friday. And they'll have like one meeting for an hour a week. And they expect, because they're paying the virtual assistant, that the virtual assistant is just like a machine. They're not. They're a human being. They're a team member. They're somebody that you need to create a culture with, just like you would in a regular office setting like we're in right now, right? And they're gonna respect that. So here's what happened with Karen. She just teed me up with all this stuff. This is something that I could have figured out on YouTube or something like that. She just helped me out, right? The thing is with her though, is she was such a beast. She's like, I am ready to go. I am ready to like build this business with you, Mike. I see that you're super into it. I see that you're going to take care of this thing, and I see that you're pouring into me. So I'm going to do as much as I can to pour back into you. That was about 3 years ago. She's still with me to this day. And like I said, she's going out building her own community and everything like that. But she has, we call this retention, right? Like how do you retain a customer, or how do you retain an employee or something like that? We've retained her and the whole entire team because of how much time and energy that we put into them in the beginning. And we created a culture. So that's what's so important in the beginning. It's just creating a culture. And it all comes back to like, where's your heart? You see what I mean? If your heart is in it and your heart really wants to help people and your heart wants to make this thing grow in a manner where you're helping other people, that's where my drive comes from every single day. It's not about Mike. It's not even as cliche about it, like I want to help my family out and I want my family to build generational wealth. This is way bigger than that. I know that every single day that I wake up and I go take action, whatever action I go take is going to go help somebody else out.